to compute. All right. So as now that we are recording, so I want to see by a raise of hands, and if you guys are listening to this recording, I want you to just kind of sit in this and think about it. But who has felt like they have maybe plateaued recently in their, who's plateaued? Raise your hand. Yeah. And has anybody felt, and let's be honest, like they've had maybe some more cravings creeping in recently? Like, yeah. Who feels like, sorry, I was putting it down. So now I want to ask another question. Who out of the people that have raised your hand, and I want you to be honest with me, are still tracking your food? Tracking your food, okay. And who out of those people that are tracking their food are tracking and actually weighing their food? And who tracks everything that goes into their mouth? Even the little things that happen here and there, and the fruit that we were cutting up this weekend, Brenda. Uh-huh. So Brenda, let's talk about that for a minute because you're being really honest here. So let's chat about that a little bit. I'm gonna have you come off of mute. So what have you discovered so you plateaued, right,
Yes.
Brenda? Yeah.
Uh-huh.
And when you plateaued, because I know you've had some recent success lately, but when you plateaued, what was something that you discovered? And by the way, let's all celebrate. By the way, Brenda hit a new milestone. She is in the 170s, by the way. So
Yeah.
that's
Yay.
huge.
Yeah.
Yes, but before we got there, what was something like, so you showed up on your check-ins, correct? And you were always telling me you were nailing your nutrition 100%, but you were plateaued. And what was something that you were like, well, I'm 100%. What was something that you weren't doing?
What I was doing is I was doing more of measuring than weighing. So, for instance, it was about 2 weeks ago, you had me measure.
Right.
So, the oatmeal, the dry oatmeal. So, a half a cup of oatmeal is 40 grams.
Mhm.
Well, when I scooped it up in my scooper and put it on the scale, oh my gosh, I had 4 or 5 more grams in my oatmeal than because I don't know, maybe my measuring cup is bigger than a half a cup.
Mhm.
So right there, I was having 5 to 10 more grams of oatmeal. And then same way with the protein powder.
Mhm.
I was doing the same thing. I was just scooping it. I wasn't measuring the actual how much grams the powder was, and there was another 5, 10 more grams there.
Mhm.
So once I cut those back down, yeah, I lost 2 pounds that week.
Mhm.
So yeah, the measuring, and then I was off on my fruits and vegetables. I was a little low, so I was jipping myself
Mhm.
on vegetables and fruit that I could have more, vegetables by weighing them than measuring them. So that was an eye opener. So yeah, so measuring does matter.
It does. And then
Hmm.
also being aware of what else were you weighing? Like we talked about, like there was a lot of little bites that were sneaking in as well.
Yes,
Hmm.
yes. And that helped a lot too to log it in as an ounce because I never knew what to log a bite, lick, or taste as. So doing it as everything you put in was at least an ounce, that helped. That helped how to log things in. But it is a lot tougher in the summer with your, now it's sweet corn season, which I did have a ear of sweet corn last night, but I didn't do the butter. So I'm like, oh, so it is a lot tougher in the summer with your, you got your watermelon, you got your strawberries, you can have all that, but like you're used to having great amounts of watermelon. You could eat half of the watermelon because it's so damn good.
Mhm.
So yeah, cutting back and measuring those things is was an eye opener too.
Yeah. Thank you for sharing. And this is not, Brenda's not alone. There's a few people that I've asked some questions to in your check-ins, like, well, are we weighing or like yes, I track my food, or are we just copying and pasting the nutrition in? Because yes, we teach you guys and we want you to copy and paste. We want you to learn to track. And the reason why we teach you to copy and paste is because it's easier to swap out meals if you're looking at 4 ounces of chicken to pull in. And I had somebody else just do this. They were like, oh, I just swapped out 3 ounces of beef for 3 ounces of chicken. And this is where I say it's a common theme. And I said, okay, great. I want you to go back and I want you to log that beef in comparison to the chicken. And she just came back. She's like, holy shit. She's like, it was more calories, more fat. There's nothing wrong with it, but you guys have to be aware, like protein to protein isn't always equal. So there's that piece of it of tracking it, but there's what Brenda said too is, and I don't know, it's always just a couple of grams, but it's a good idea to start to weigh. So because your scoop of oatmeal may suddenly start heaping. Your protein powder, things like that, but anything like that, but learning to start to weigh. But the questions that I was asking was, well, okay, so we're logging our food, we're 100%. What does that mean to be 100%? Well, that means I'm logging and eating everything that I have planned out for myself, whether it is from a nutrition guide or I've created my own nutrition. I'm eating everything. Well, is there anything else that you are eating in addition to that? Well, yes. Are you logging it? No. This matters, guys. This matters. Because if you start to log it, what it's going to do is put visibility on what you're actually eating. Because here's the deal. If you have plateaued, if you have plateaued and you are in a place in this journey that you are still in a fat loss phase and your output is still the same and your input and you are nailing your nutrition 90% of the time. Now there are some exceptions in there, but 90% of the time something is off. The math is not mathing. So check yourself on those things. Am I actually consciously weighing my food? Because how many of you guys don't weigh your food anymore? You said, of those of you guys that said you're tracking, and be honest with me, you started eyeballing it. Yeah.
I've done
I
it
know there's
before.
some people in here, you're eyeballing it.
I've
And
done it
I
before.
know what 4 ounces is. No, ma'am.
Nope.
No, ma'am. There's nobody in here, to be honest with you, that has been doing this long enough, and myself included, like that can well, actually I will pull I pretty good at it, but I've been doing this for years and years and years, but eyeballing it, mm-mm. You're gonna
Can
be,
I say something?
yeah.
It's not that I'm eyeballing it, but what you and the other lady, Sandy or Brenda or whoever was talking earlier who had to win, it's like I never even thought about that. I'm just like, if it says half cup, I've been trying to keep it half cup, like straight across the top, but I never even thought to weigh it. I'm seeing progress, but those things never even occurred to me. So as you're saying, well, who eyeballs it? Well, that's what I was saying. Like, yeah, I guess I do eyeball. I don't, it says a half a cup. I'm doing a half of a cup, my protein and everything. And now I'm like, ooh, maybe I could be seeing more progress. But I'm still dealing with a lot of inflammation and pineapple blew me up like a balloon last night in pain. So back to the drawing board with that. So,
Let's see. Yes, and I mean, then just go back to the blueberries.
yep.
Simple.
So
Um,
I just wanted to say I love that feedback and just
mhm.
throwing that out. And that's why I love joining these calls is because I learned something new on every single call. Like
Yeah,
I literally was like, my meeting's running over. I got to get on this call. I want to hear what's going on today. So thanks for sharing that.
absolutely. So, tracking, guys, like I said, being really aware, and I know, Jen, you were about to say something. It's really common. It becomes easy to just go, well, I know I'm supposed to have chicken and rice. And so let me just toss that in here. And I kind of think I know what it is, or, sweet potatoes and this, and or whatever it is. And it becomes very easy. And just to say, yes, I am hitting this 100%. But zooming out and realizing, am I really checking myself and am I weighing everything? Because it can be a pain in the ass to do it, but am I actually weighing on my food? Am I consciously weighing and considering everything that I'm putting in my mouth that is extra? Because these little things add up. Like, the sugar-free jello or the sugar-free popsicle that you have every night because, well, it's free and it's like doesn't have that many calories. Over the span of time of adding that in over and over, it's not free. It counts. And if you're in a calorie deficit, guys, and those things repeatedly done over and over again, will put you into a place of a plateau. Now, here's the good news. You've learned how to maintain yourself. That's awesome. You've hit maintenance. That means you're never going back. You have an intuitive piece about you where 90% of the time you're staying very well focused, but there's a little percent of the time that you may not be. But the good news is you have established maintenance, but many of you, if you're still on that path and you have a goal to hit, that's where you need to kind of check yourself and reestablish, am I actually tracking this food, or have I gotten into a place where I've been a little bit of loosey goosey? Go ahead, Jen. I know you had something to add.
Yeah. Well, it was just all about awareness because I didn't realize either until I actually, because it was like after prep and like my second show and you allowed me to just, kind of coast. And then you're like, why don't you just start tracking again? And so I did, and I was like, holy crap. Like that was my big awareness was the oats
Hmm.
half a cup was not weighing out 40 grams or 45 grams like that, like you should have for a half a cup of oats, depending on what kind of oats you have. And mine was like 50 to 55. And I'm like, times seven, because I'm eating that every single day. And I'm like, holy crap, no wonder my weight started creeping up again. And not that it was bad. Like I could coast between, a good 8 pounds or so. And I was perfectly content and fine. But then it started creeping up a little bit more. And I was like, oh shit, like what's happening? And that awareness is huge. Even the rice, just like weighing it out, like a quarter of a cup, and measuring it out in 60 grams or 70 grams makes a huge difference. And, you don't really realize it until you become aware of it. And so for me, the accountability for me to stay where my sweet spot is actually weighing and measuring everything out. And
Yeah.
some people it works fine, like you can eyeball it, like Nicole does it and she maintains, but she's been doing it for many, many years. Like I still think that I'm fairly new. And so I just don't like, I'll go and do it like when I'm on vacations and stuff like that. But for me, like the structure and actually weighing it out and everything, I feel better about myself because then I know for sure that I'm not going so much over my calories or my
But let's,
macros.
but let's talk about that a little bit more. So we talk about Nicole. Nicole is an intuitive eater, guys, but let's talk about what Jen just said. What, is Nicole weight loss journey anymore here, guys?
No.
Has she reached her ultimate goal?
Yes.
Does everybody here agree with that? Yeah. So in her intuitive eating, And her maintaining herself is 100% in her sweet spot. And that is her comfort zone. Now, I can tell you, as I've said to you guys several times, I've been with Nicole several times. I've watched her eat. She eats the same goddamn thing. Right, guys, like I'm not kidding you. She eats the same goddamn thing every single day. So, and she does eyeball it, but basically, it's egg whites, egg, whatever her breakfast is, like she does, but she's pretty damn consistent and exactly eating the same thing over and over and like clockwork. And she doesn't vary from it at all. Like the only thing that may vary a little for her would be her dinners, and but she's still like very consistent with her favorite foods. And to be honest with you, she just came out of a gut protocol where she had to dial things back in for a while. And so what we're talking about now is yes, once you get to that spot, you can because she just maintains. Now, if Nicole knocked on my door, and she'll be the first one to tell you and said, "Hey, Jules, I want to lean out a little bit more. I want to, she doesn't even have to want to compete, but I want to lean out. I want to grow my glutes a little bit more." She'll be the first to tell you. But she then has to say, "Coach Jules, give me a nutrition plan." And she knows it. She knows it. She's literally waiting for that time. She keeps saying, "I'm getting closer to being ready, Jules. I really want my glutes." Like, but she knows that if she's going to go that direction, and whether it is she wants to grow a little, she wants to tighten up a little bit, she knows that even she has to go back to that. And Coach Jen is she just could she intuitively eat? Yes, but her sweet spot, as she just told you, she prefers to weigh her food. But my point here, guys, is if you're still on that journey, and it's okay if every once in a while we kind of plateau out for a minute, but to check yourself and be like, am I being 100% honest with myself? As Jen said, am I really aware of what I'm doing? Am I really tracking every lick, bite, and taste? Am I weighing my food or am I just guessing? Am I tossing a few extra things in here and there? Do that check. And why I also say that, where is my timing with my food? We don't just tell you to time
Mm-hmm.
out your food for
Mm-hmm.
the heck of it. I will tell you, me personally, I can fluctuate in weight as well. And I can go up 4 or 5 pounds. I can go up 8 pounds, but
It's
90% of
crazy.
the time, right. If I look at myself and I'm really honest with myself, if I look in the mirror and I'm like, God, I feel a little inflamed, I feel a little puffy today, I can go back a day or two and go, well, yeah, you dumbass. You haven't drank enough water today. Your sodium was off and your meal timing was way the hell off. And those little things will affect me. And I need to like, and as soon as I dial that it back in, I go right back to baseline, right where I am. Because it's about consistency, guys. So you're always going to be in that spot where you have to check yourself. But if you're currently not at your goal, that's where you really want to dial stuff in. And if you are dialing that stuff in and then we still are on a plateau, that's where us as your coaches can now go deeper with the data. But you leave us scratching our head if the math isn't mathing. So the cleaner our data is, then we can step in and go, ooh, there might be something else that's happening here. It's always going to be input output. Now, I want to talk about cravings a little bit too, because this factors in a little bit with food timing. So,
And the types of foods that you're
and the
eating.
types of foods, right?
I have experience with that because I know about cravings and I know when I start venturing out of my whole foods and do more convenient foods, it triggers cravings for me. Remember the protein bars, Jules?
Mhm. Yeah, and it's very true. So I love that you say that because it's true. So guys, sometimes when we have cravings, so some of you guys, you get curious with your, so remember, if you go back to your meal guides, the things that we give you, all single whole ingredient foods most of the time, right? There we might venture in and we start to play with little things with you, but for the most part, we're looking at single whole ingredient foods because this is what the body needs. Sometimes as we start, so checking yourself when you look at cravings, have we been putting little things in that may be a little bit more processed? Have we been, somebody said to me this weekend, they're like, well, and this is why I bring this up. So there's no wrong thing. Have the donut, have the little things here and there. But if we allow this to be 10% of the time every week versus maybe once in a while where we enjoy the donut, the little whatever that might be, that's all right. But if it becomes a regular thing, what
Mm.
starts to happen, as Jen says, is this starts to create craving. So somebody, for example, said to me, well, I was coloring outside the wheels. I had and it's like I had four mini donuts and I don't you I can't even remember who it is. You may be on the call. I had four mini donuts and something else over the weekend. And holy shit, my hunger's through the roof. And I said, I'm like, well, let's talk about that for a minute. What happens is, and I'm having cravings. Yes. And I think it had been something else the week before. You're triggering those cravings, guys, by bringing in that processed food.
Yeah.
So it is very normal. So the more you pull in those things, the more cravings you're going to have. And what I've shared with a couple of you guys, and I'm going to share it with you guys here because it landed the plane with like three or four of the people that I shared this with on the check-ins. I listened to a podcast the other day and there was a nutritionist talking, and he explained this in a way that I was like, this is going to land for some people. So, when you think about your body as a whole, it is made up of cells, is it not?
Yes.
Right?
Yes.
Full of cells. Those little cells, they cannot see, they cannot hear, they cannot smell. But those little cells are little workers in your body. So they are busy in your body building muscle. They are busy pumping blood through your heart. They are busy repairing anything that gets broken in your body. They are helping you breathe. They are burning, helping you burn body fat. They increase your metabolism, they decrease your metabolism. They do all kinds of things. Their job is to keep you healthy. They know what a macronutrient is and a micronutrient is. They
Yep.
need them to survive. They know, so micronutrients, right, are all vitamins, different, like they're the microbiomes that we need. Then there's the macronutrients, guys, that you are a little more familiar with, which is carbs, fats, and proteins. Those cells, they know what protein is, and they know exactly what to do with protein. They say, oh, I got protein, I go build and maintain a muscle. Oh, I get carbohydrates, I have energy, I use that to do this. Oh, I got fats, I use this to balance out hormones. Your cells are little worker bees who know, they can't see, they can't identify anything, but when these things come in, they know them very, very well.
Mhm.
So when they get single whole foods, macronutrients that they need, they're doing their job, they're humming along, they're pumping, they're building your muscle, burning your body fat, keeping your metabolism running, your heart's pumping, they're doing all the things. And when we throw in something that is a refined processed food, they go, the fuck is that? They don't recognize it. They have no idea what it is. So they go, well, I need macronutrients. Cravings. It's your cells saying, I didn't get what I need.
Did. Yep.
I need more of cravings, guys. So when you're getting a craving, thinking of that, that's your body just saying, I want this because you gave it something else. That's where cravings come in. I want you to think about this, and I use this example with whoever it was. I said, she's like, well, I had a mini donut and then I couldn't stop. I had like three or four of them. And she's like, I stopped. I only had four. She's like, but you can't just have one of those things. I
Yep.
don't remember why. I said, okay, let's think about this. I said, a mini donut. I want you guys to think about this. A little baby donut has probably, I'm guessing, I haven't gone out and looked, but it has probably about as many calories, possibly carbohydrates, as a full banana. Okay? So does probably a mini chocolate or something like that. I want you to consider this. How many times have you sat down and ate a dozen bananas? Let's be real. Would you sit down and eat a dozen bananas? No, after one banana, you would be full,
Oh,
correct? Right. But you can sit down and pound a dozen mini donuts,
yeah,
which, by the way, that mini donut has the same amount of calories as the banana. Is this registering?
yeah,
It's happening. Oh shit, yeah. That's why, guys, because the cells in your body are going, well, I want more. I don't, that's not giving me what I want. So you just take, you could like, there's way more to it. But does this help make sense? So your body wants more. You're never going to sit down and eat a dozen bananas. You probably get through one banana and you're done. But this
yeah.
is where cravings come from. And the more you give your body these things, the more you'll start to crave them. So, every once in a while, you're cruising around, you're proud of yourself. You've hit some damn serious goals. And many of you guys, who's here that's actually, whether you're 3 months in or 6 months in or a year in, has surpassed where you thought you would have been
Mm, for sure.
currently. Yeah, exactly. Sandy talked about, and there's several of you that have like even at the 3 month. I know Nicole is in here. Teeny's another one. Like, holy fuck. I had a goal for myself and I sailed past it. So then what starts to come in is, and this is where these things like you start to let these little things come in and then these cravings start to escalate. I deserve. I've worked hard. I can have. Sure.
Hmm. Yeah.
It's a normal feeling, guys. I've hit my goal. I deserve. I've worked hard. I should be, yeah, absolutely. And to have these little things here and there is totally okay, but it's identifying also why do you want them? Just because? Somebody said to me the other day, I had a bite of the cheesecake. But I really fucking wanted the goddamn cheesecake. It's a once in a lifetime thing that I do. Like, I only see my family every once in a while. And like, we go to this place on the 4th of July and it has the best. And so I had it. Awesome. That's way different than just because it's sitting there, just because it's there, just because you can. But these are all normal things, but starting to look at these things. And that's where these cravings come in. Teeny was like talking to me as well. She was like, well, I've been having sugar-free Jello, and I've been adding in these sugar-free, fat-free things. And I'm like, well, where does that fit in? I'm not picking on her right now because her and I had a conversation back and forth in the app where she was like, God damn. Like you start to feel like, and you forget that those things count. They have, and you're starting to let these little things come in. And one, they can create these cravings for you. Two, they do have calories. They do, even though they're empty calories and they do count. And now, so you have to think about what's happening. So Teeny's check-in, she came in and she's like, "Oh, my weight loss has slowed down." I'm like, "Well, let's look at this." And granted, it wasn't a big deal. She's, I didn't really care. I always, when you get to a certain part of your journey, your things are going to slow down. Things aren't going to be as rapid, but I still want and so we started unpacking a few things and I'm like, well, this is normal. But then she actually started volunteering information. I was like, well, actually, this isn't as normal as I thought it was. And here's the other piece of this. And she can pop in and talk, but here's the other piece of this. As coaches, and this is what I said to Teeny, if you're doing these things, and as coaches, the data that I'm getting from you or the coaches are getting from you isn't clear. We are only going by the mathing and the data that we're looking at. So I would look at her and go, well, this is normal. I wanted her to slow down to this pace. This is good. We're on track. I like the results we're getting. But if I find out that part of that increase where she was because of extra things she's adding in, now I don't have a clear picture of her macronutrients anymore. And if I do need to increase her food, I'm not. So now her hunger cues, I'm just picking on her, are going to continue because I'm not
Yeah.
increasing her macronutrients where she needs to because she's in there doing it on her own. And guarantee you, some of you guys that are listening to this recording, some of you that are listening here right now, are doing these things. So if you start filling the voids for these things and we're not aware of it, you're now masking your results to us. So now go back to the cells. You're feeding those cravings that we're getting. We're not helping you increase those macronutrients should you need them. So it goes two ways here. Does this landing a plane and making sense, guys?
For sure.
It makes sense. I want to jump in because I was kind of getting butthurt with you, Jules. I was like, oh man, this is when I'm getting upset with her now. Because I asked her if I could swap almond butter with PB2. And looking at it, you're like, oh, okay, it's less fat, more protein. But she was like, what is it? Processed. And I'm like, well, I've surpassed my goal. Now I'm starting to kind of be loosey goosey and thinking, oh, let me have that Jello cup. It's only 10 calories. But the real danger now I'm realizing on this call is that it's not the 10 calories. It's the fact that you're giving your cells not what it wants. So you
Hmm.
set yourself up for cravings or failure in the future. And
Mhm.
it's just a matter of time where, and I was thinking to myself, oh, I can make, healthy pizza within my macros. And she's like, when do we start doing regular refeeds? And I was like, well, it's in my macros, so it's not but then I was like, okay. Because all that diet food, even though it's the calories or the macros, they're processed, right? And now I get it. They're going to set me up for maybe something else down the road.
Mhm. Yeah.
And if I just make an excuse and I say, oh, like the I deserve thing, oh, it's okay. I'm in my macros.
Mhm.
I'm going to
Yeah.
just have it on Saturday, Sunday.
Hmm.
It's like I didn't even want it. And now it's starting to become a routine. It's
Yeah.
starting to become normal, even though I didn't even want it. Right now, I said it's okay. So I can see how that can be a slippery slope to just open the floodgates
Mhm.
and start eating a bunch of diet junk food.
Yeah, and I'm glad you brought that up because I knew she was getting butthurt with me, and I know that sometimes you guys, and I know sometimes you guys do it, and she was because I kept coming at her. I just kept asking her questions, and that's really where we were going with it. And she just hit something very, very, very on point because as her coach and I was watching a pattern. And I saw that she went from, and I don't mind if you're doing these things, but I saw the pattern where there was more and more coming in. She started telling me about it. And I was like, okay. And she just hit the nail on the head. Then you start letting more and more in. And now those cravings start to sneak in. And what are we about here? We're creating habits and a new culture for you, a new way of showing up. And the last thing that any of us want as your coach is to ever have you put that weight back on again.
Hmm.
So we're establishing the habits. And the other thing that I challenged her with, like I said, there's a reason why we give you guys regular refeeds in the beginning, because we're teaching you how to have those. And I hate to call them, this is why we call them refeeds. I don't like to call something a cheat meal. I don't like to call it a treat meal because that implies, guys, that the way that you are currently fueling your body 90% of the time is a punishment. And it's not. But we're trying to establish these habits in you. Because let's go back to Nicole again. She intuitively eats. There is crap in her pantry. She doesn't eat it. I've never seen her touch it. Her husband eats it. She doesn't. And I'm not talking, he's pretty healthy. They don't have like unhealthy snacks, but she's got like, little treats in there. And yes, you will see her on social media having one or two, but literally I will watch her. She'll grab one, two little of those drizzle rice cakes and she might munch on a couple of them. And I mean a couple of them. And then she leaves it. And she doesn't do it on a regular basis. And the reason is again, it's what we teach here. We're establishing such a strong foundation and patterns with you guys that you don't want to do that anymore. And if you do, it's very like it's not something that triggers you. And that's when we as coaches start to see it trigger you. And Teeny, that's what I was seeing as a trigger coming up in her. And then and I was like, I didn't give a shit about the pizza. I don't care if it fits your macros, guys. But in the reality, what I was thinking to her is like, how are you building this? What's on there? Is it actually going to fit the macros of that meal or does it just fit in your macros? Is it fitting the macros of that dinner? Are you taking it and are you building that pizza with a good healthy fat with protein on it, or is it just something that you're fitting in your macros? Because listen, guys, a Pop-Tart will fit in your macros.
Yeah. Yeah.
A Pop-Tart will fit in your macros. And the reason why we do things the way that we do, Nicole and I just we were doing some content 2 weeks ago, and I think we even talked about it in the content where she was really open about how Team Becoming Her was prior to a year ago, almost over a year ago when I had coming in. And she's very clear. She's like, we used to do more of a if it fit your macros approach here. And what was happening was many of the clients weren't understanding what macronutrients were, how to get whole proteins. And how many of you guys, if you're even listening in, think about this. There's some of you guys that will get to a place and you're like, well, I can't get my protein in. And my first question is how in the hell can you be at the end of the day and not get your protein in if we've given you a guide to follow? That's why we give you these guides, because you can structure every single meal. Like if it's in MyFitnessPal, if you want to swap out a meal, you can, but you swap it out maintaining those macros. And
Yeah.
if you do that, we're teaching you how to always hit your goals, whether you do it intuitively in the future, as you live the rest, you graduate, you leave, and you get really, but we want you really, really good at it. Sandy, she's probably waiting for the day to go back to this, but she became very good at that. And one of the reasons why Sandy was really good at that is she started out and she built that habit of how to track and, build her macros. And then she was able to start to cultivate foods around that. But Sandy wasn't putting a Pop-Tart in there to hit her macros. Sandy was building meals based off of the macro base that she had for every meal. Correct, Sandy? Yeah. And she learned a lot that way. So it's not that we don't want, it's not that I didn't, Teeny could add the pizza on Saturday. I was cool with that. And I even went in and said, well, if you're going to have it, then before I even finished well, here's the funny part. Before I even finished typing the message of how she could build pizza, she had responded to me, and our message is crossed. I don't even really want it anyway, Jules. This is the reality, guys. Like she literally, I hadn't even, to be honest with you, I'm not even going to do it. I really don't even want it. But this is where those cravings come in. So this is like, where is this helpful, guys?
Yes.
Yeah. So looking at things and reminding you, like, this isn't about, and for those of you that are on this call that are new, there's some of you that are brand new in here. And some of you, that have been here for a while, but this is those of you guys that are brand new, to know that this beginning part of the program where we put this structure in, we build this foundation, it's for a very specific reason. It's to give you those guardrails, basically, and to start to create these habits so that you don't go back. They become, like, remember, we have to watch what we say, what we think, because what we say, what we think, these become our habits. Our habits become our character becomes our identity. And that's what we're building. We're building a new identity for you so that you never go back. And those that lean in the beginning and they stack those, it's, and when you come in the beginning, and a lot of the people that are on this call right now will jump in and tell you this, it feels restrictive in the beginning. It can, but it's not. Based on what I just said, we're not restricting anything. We're actually fueling your body. We're actually giving you more food than you've ever eaten before. Just whole foods. Remember the banana to the donut thing. And here's another thing. And Coach Jen, you can jump into it. Kate can jump in. There's a few of you guys that I know do this. Sandy does this. Well, she did when she wasn't on the gut protocol. But again, what is the healthy swap to the thing you're craving? So think about the banana and the mini donut. The banana, you're not going to eat 4 of them. You're going to have 1. So where you start to look for, like, if you sit on Coach Jen's meal prep. And guys, if you're not joining her meal preps, if you don't watch her reruns or her replays, you should. Like she will take something that like there's been times like I'm like, well, is she really eating on her, in her macros? She'll take a potato that she's literally had on her gut protocol and turned it into, well, no, it was you were over your gut protocol at that point in time, but she
Yeah.
literally took a potato and she turned it into potato salad, and there was nothing in there that actually really magnified the macros, anything. Like the way that she built it, when I looked at her recipe, I was like, well, that's ingenious. It's so there are ways around doing these things and not necessarily creating a lot of friction and a lot of extra calories. If there's some, yes, you log them, but there are ways of seasoning your food, preparing your food. And again, like Jen is really good at this, Sandy's really good at this. Like you get creative. So learning to like, what is the swap if you're really having that craving? Do you have frozen bananas diced up in your freezer? That if you have a sweet tooth, you grab one, you log it, okay? You log it, but you pop it in your mouth, and that banana, that frozen banana, just satisfies your sweet tooth. You
Yeah.
see where I'm going? You log that shit. You got to be aware. You need to know what it is.
And you don't get cravings from berries or Whole Foods.
No.
It's the sugar-free Jello, and I know this from experience because I've done it. And it's just all about creating awareness. So that's why we have you log in my fitness pal because like I'll go and I'll be like, okay, I'm gonna go treat myself. I went to like Cinnaholic or something and I logged that shit and I was like, fuck that. That was so many carbs and so many calories. I'm like, is that even going to be worth it? Am I going to feel satisfied at the end of the day after I've eaten it? And I only know this because, like I've done these things. I've gone out, I've had ice cream, I've had, once I've hit my goal weight, I've gone out and ventured out and colored outside the lines. But at the end of the day, when I start to become more aware of does it actually satisfy me or does it create more cravings? I realize that, I'd rather have the rice cake with peanut butter and a couple of bananas on there with cinnamon. That's going to give me like less than half the amount of macros that cinnamon roll would. And it's going to satisfy me, because again, like putting it into perspective in a biology sense, those cells know the difference between processed food and whole foods. And you need those macro and micronutrients in order to fuel your body, in order for you to do the things that you need to do on a daily basis. That was like a big aha moment because when you said that, I was like, oh, I was just learning about that on my nutrition course that I was taking. I
Uh-huh.
was like, holy crap, those little receptors know the difference. But our brain tells us something different.
Yeah. And you know what? I'll even jump in because you're going to love me for this one. I'm going to even warn you guys about rice cakes.
Same thing.
Yeah, same thing. They will often like I mean, yes, it's the better swap, but I know because sometimes I have to toss rice cakes out of my house because I will like start to eat those little suckers and I'm like, God damn, that's not something I should be doing. I'll get because again, they start to trigger a craving with me. So you have to be careful with those things. But yes, that's where, and getting to a place where you're tracking it, like what Jen just said, and I'm gonna like tap into even Kate here in a minute, but if you are creating the awareness, because somebody else did a check-in this week too, and they said to me, well, I tracked that shit. And I, just like Jen said, they're like, I said, fuck it. That's not worth the calories to me. It's not worth the macros to me. Like, I would rather spend it on something else. So, like, let's go back to the Pop-Tart. Well, I'm going to have a Pop-Tart. Stick that sucker in there. You see how much it is? I guarantee you, you're going to go, or the mini donut, track it before you eat it, guys, because a lot of times you'll go, that's not even worth it. I would rather have something else that I'm truly going to enjoy and savor and have the four bites. And there's like, Kate just went on vacation. She went to Italy. Brent, actually, Barb did the same thing, and both of them came back. Barb was a couple years ago, or a year ago or something like that. But even Kate, you just came back less weight, and she was talking about, and you can talk about it a little bit, but like it was a completely different experience for her. And she still enjoyed herself. She was really glad that I had Stairmasters on her program before she went too. She hated me and cussed me for it, but she loved me in Italy. But like, talk about your experience, Kate, because it was, you enjoyed yourself, but
Yeah, I mean it would, it's close. We were in Switzerland.
oh, all
Switzerland,
right,
Germany. It's out there.
it's out
It's
there.
close, whatever. Um, but the difference for me, it stressed me out because I'm very regimented and pre-track and pre-log, and I get nervous because I'm afraid I'm gonna, go hog wild. And I just didn't, and it was different. Like, they are croissant people. They are carb people in the morning. That's what they have. They have a croissant, they have their coffee, or there's some carb like a sandwich or something like that. I was like, oh my gosh, there's no egg, there's no protein, there's no, and so I had the croissant. I had the croissant in the morning, and then we would have one meal. Like, I was able to find like a chicken salad,
Mhm.
and then we would walk, and then we would usually sit for dinner, and then I would be the Hoover. So I have two boys and a husband, and they would order whatever they ordered, and I wasn't super hungry, and so I would just pick. Like, I had a slice of the pizza, or I had a little bite of the pasta because
Mhm.
they loved Italian, and that's what I did. But I was very intentional about not going crazy. But we didn't snack.
Mhm.
And when I'm home or here, I want to have snacks, or that kind of thing. But it was very intentional of, I'm not going to go hog wild. I had the gelato.
Mhm.
I had the sweet treat, I had the chocolate. But I wasn't looking for stuff to eat. I wasn't sitting down and having the entire bowl of pasta. Um, I just I just ate kind of intuitively, and just made sure that I was trying to focus on a protein or something like that. Um, and yeah, and it felt really good. And I was entirely prepared to come back and be up on the scale, or feel a certain way, and I didn't feel bloated. Now, was I dehydrated? Probably. I probably wasn't drinking enough water, because of course we were there during this stupid heat wave, and there's no air conditioning anywhere. So I'm sure I was very dehydrated. But all that said, I actually was down a little bit on the scale. Didn't feel horrible. So, it was very empowering to take the tools and apply them in that real world setting for 2 weeks that I couldn't be on my routine. I couldn't have my ground chicken. I couldn't have my cream of rice. I didn't have any of that. Um, so but I didn't go crazy. I didn't binge. I didn't, look for everything to eat. So that was amazing.
And part of the reason why she didn't, guys, is because she allowed herself to have what she allowed herself that, but she stated reasons. So that's the difference between, feeling your body and allowing, those emotions to come in. And many people that have been here for a while go on vacation after, like Kate, or, and several of you in here after you've been here for a while. And it's amazing how you approach your vacation very, very differently, but it's because of the habits that we've stacked in the background. And so, and it's always looking at the thing, I even look at Sandy here, and I'll never forget our very first conversation where she said, but I want ice cream. This was last summer. And I said, we'll have the ice cream, Sandy. And because I love this story because when she told me she wanted the ice cream, guys, she went through great detail to explain to me the feeling and the whole, it was a where am I? It was an experience. So she went through the great detail on her check-in, and I think it was last summer, to explain to me the experience of the ice cream. And so my response back to her, which probably surprised, we'll have the ice cream, but maybe don't do it every week. because the experience that she explained to me was my husband and I go have ice cream at this particular ice cream parlor I don't remember, it was on the weekend, every day. And she like literally she said the dog's in the back with his head out the window with his ears blowing. I'm not kidding you. She went through this much detail with the ears blowing in the window. I could literally see her driving down a country road to the ice cream place with her husband with the dog in the back. And I'm like, well, damn, this is an experience for her. So I just responded back and I said, Sandy, have the ice cream. Don't do it every week. Do it once a month. Make it a special treat because it sounds to me like it's about like I'm thinking it's about the experience. And I said, don't eat the whole damn cup. Have a couple of bites. Sandy comes back. She says, okay. She never went and had the damn ice cream. Ever. Ever. But she was really worried about it. And the reason is I'm gonna guess like I like she realized as we had the conversation that she could have the ice cream. It was about the experience, and my guess is without even asking her, she created that experience some other way, you know? So yeah, like think about those things, guys. A lot of times these cravings come from mindless things that we do. And when we're intentional, like Kate said, or like, Sandy became intentional about why she wanted the ice cream, things start to shift. Barb went to Italy a year ago and like same thing, like she was so concerned that she was going to, and like she went to Italy and I'll never forget it. Barb was the same. I think it was you, Barb. She didn't eat the pasta. I was like, why didn't you have the pasta? I didn't want the pasta.
Yeah.
I wanted the
Yeah.
gelato. So she had the gelato because she literally came in and she's like, well, I didn't eat the pasta. I go, why did you not eat the pasta? She goes, I didn't want the pasta, but I wanted the gelato. So I went and got the gelato. See the difference, guys? Where she even said, and she can talk to for herself, in the past, she would have eaten the pasta just because the pasta was there. But she was like, the reality was, is I didn't really want it.
Well, they blow it up. Oh God, you got to go blah, 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 blah. But it's like, I don't care. I didn't want it. I don't care if I go to the moon and they got the best pasta. I'm not going to eat it. If I want it, okay, fine. But that was my approach to Italy, because everybody's like, I can't wait for the blah blah. And I'm like, I don't want it. And so that's how I approached another place. And so, but Jules is amazing. And when she is, I'm just wanted to say this to you, but you are super consistent. And I know you're supposed to be because you're trying to, when I'm inconsistent, right?
But
Very much so. So starting the program in what about 2 years?
yeah,
Has it been two? I
you've been with
think.
me for a year, and I think you were with a year before me. Yeah.
Yeah. So then all these things, the everything and tracking and whatnot, and where I am right now is I know what to put in my body. And going back to that, I know what'll cause inflammation. So if I want some inflammatory responses, I know what to do to get it. So I think getting to the point where I want to level up, the program has made me, I love my body, but I struggle with leveling up, right? And I'm having trouble with the level up thought. So switching the goal, I am grasping right now. I'm trying to figure out a goal so I can level up,
Mhm.
right? No, I'm not tracking.
No. But
I'm
you're
not, and I
consistent.
want to. I want to. But
So,
how bad do I want to
right.
if I'm not doing it?
Right. And you're a very
So
good example of what I was talking about, even with Nicole. And you and I have had similar conversation that I've had with Nicole. So what Barb,
exactly.
I'm gonna interrupt and just kind of guide. So what Barb is consistent as hell. She eats the same goddamn thing over and over again, and that's why she doesn't really need to track. She's very good at intuitive eating. But Barb will also tell you that she did a lot of work in the beginning of eating, like she built that foundation very well, and she came to a place where she was able to intuitively eat, and she stays like rock solid. but she keeps knocking on my door, and this is what she's trying to say to you. Well, I think I want to push my body a little bit further. I want to be a little leaner. I'm happy. I
Mhm.
love it. I've never been in this place. I'd like to see a little more definition. And my response, where she says I'm consistent, is my same conversation, is the same conversation I'll have with Nicole. I'm like, well, the lever that we have to pull, Barb, is the nutrition. We have to tighten that shit back up again. We have to go back to tracking if you want to. And she's what she's telling you is she's sitting, she's very aware. She's like, I know that if I
No, that
need, right? She knows that she needs to go, what she needs to do, and that's what she's telling you. But that's like, it's really good that she's sharing this because she's really good at intuitive eating. But even her or any of us here, Jen is the same thing. If Jen wants to dial shit in and says, hey, Jules, I want to compete again, or hey, Jules, I want to lean out, well, guess what? We have to make those changes. So I just wanted to jump in, Barb, because yes, you're calling out something that's very real. You're very consistent, but you also, her awareness is like, but if I want more, I do need to pull shit back in again and be a little bit more aware of what I'm doing.
And finding that I really struggle with. We're going to Miami next Thursday. You said log it so I can do it. And well, yeah, I didn't. Obviously, I didn't. So you don't know. So the scale is, and I don't ever, 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 ever care about the number. But I'm like, okay, so I was venturing out and I said, I'm going to just kind of venture out and see if I can get the scale to go down. Right. So I'm trying to find that gold so I can level up, and I get it and I fluctuate in and out of it. So it's different the longer you're in the program, your goals change, your body will change, and it's amazing. And I'm thankful for Jules being consistent when obviously I'm inconsistent, but I fluctuate.
I love that. I'm gonna steal that. I love
Okay.
that. I really love that. That was a great. I appreciate you saying that to me because there's some merit to them. Okay, consistent when. So again, I love what she just said, guys. Hear that because a lot of times, you hear "Rah, rah, rah," Charlie Brown with us coaches. Barb just called it. We're just being consistent when you're being inconsistent. That's really what you're hearing. So I love that she shared that. Good call, guys. Yeah? Yes? No? Anybody have a good takeaway from here? Hi, Alyssa. I see. When did you sneak in on me? You got some wins. You're going clothes shopping, I hear.
Yes.
Yeah.
I've even closed shopped in my garage in my old bins,
Oh, yeah.
but now I need new.
Yeah. That was fun.
They're so old that they're out of style.
Mhm. Yeah, but you know what? I wanted to think. I'm glad to see you on. You're, another, example that we can talk about. Alyssa has been, she will sometimes. She's also hit some really major goals, and can sometimes get slightly loosey-goosey. She'll say she'll even admit to it. And here's like the flip side of it. And she was kind of like all over, sort of tracking. So she tracks 90% of the time, 10% of the time, consistently every week. She was eating out, which is fine, but she wasn't necessarily logging it. But the scale was still starting to move. And I said to her last week, I said, Alyssa, I love that you're still losing weight and you're able to follow this 90-10. This goes back to what I said earlier, and I don't even know if you were on the call, Lisa, when I was talking about the cells and macronutrients, but I said to her, I need you to track and it happened to be 4th of July weekend. I need you to track for a week. I need you to stay on your nutrition. Like, don't vary out because I have a feeling that I can increase your food, but I can't because I don't have visibility of the data. So I need to see how your body responds with what we have here versus what we have in all the little things that are coming in. And again, she'd been doing good. Like there's nothing wrong. And so she buckled up and she said, deal. Even though I'm going out on the boat, deal. I'm going to do it. And what happened is she did drop a little bit more but it was the data that I needed. So now she's going to get an increase in her nutrition. But as her coach, I would have never, this is what I'm talking about, guys, was when you guys do this, I would not be aware of that because if you start feeding yourself these little things, I'm not aware anymore. I can't tell. The data isn't there. I don't see it. So I need to see the data. So when she did that, what I thought was going to happen based on what I thought I was seeing happened. And now I'm concrete and I go, all right, we're going to make some adjustments to your macronutrients. It's going to go in her favor. So her, sticking it through, um, made a difference. But, you're kind of a classic example of what I was talking about earlier with, the little cells and wanting all the little
Yep.
things and the cravings and all of that. And the more that you have of those things, the more your body will crave them. But the more you give your body whole foods, the more it will be satisfied with that.
Yep.
So thank you for showing up because you were a good example as well. And now she gets more, she's on my list right here to get more food.
Yay.
Yay. All right, guys. If you don't have anything else, I love this call. We went a little bit over here. I think it was a great call, good conversation. I hope you guys got something out of it. Like always, when I post the replay, make sure that you share any big takeaways you have. And if you guys are watching the replay, again, any takeaways, please share with us. All right. Have a good
Thank
evening.
you. Great.
See
Bye.
ya.
Bye, ladies.
Bye.